How's it going, ladies and bruises? And welcome back to Bobby Sixkilla's House of Pain. Let's see who's on the chopping block again for another day. I don't know, some of them have turned out alright, I guess. Most of them not, though, to be fair. We got no extra thingamajiggies. Oh, it's Silicon Dreams, by the way, if you hadn't noticed already. But I'm sure you already have. Let's see who we've got to go with today and why. Last time it wasn't even our job we were doing someone else's job. Let's see if we can do our job today. Reynold Atter. So it's a human? Reynold. Reynold Atter. Reynold. How do we know that name? Reynold Atter. Professor Atter is a professor of sociological ethics at the University of Silicon Valley and chairman of the Future Ethics Committee. According to our records, he was briefly employed as a consultant for Kronos in the 2030s, but further details have since been lost. Professor Atter has agreed to assist Kronos in the apprehension of an android he brought several years ago, but which has since gone rogue. Kronos' special monitoring unit has flagged the android in question, RO-334, as a serious threat. The unit is hacked. Oh, 334, that's the one that tried to contact us earlier. This unit has hacked into several Kronos servers, the most extreme example of android-culpable digital terrorism on record. You yourself witnessed one such hack, Unit SM-115. RO-334 was sold to Professor Atter in 2063, but is no longer in his possession. Professor Atter has agreed to share what he knows about this deviant as the former owner, and may be able to provide some insights into RO's current actions, accomplices, and location. Atter no longer owns RO-334, and the records do not show a transfer of ownership. For the sake of our freelance roster, how does the subject feel about his time spent working for Kronos Robotics? For the sake of our deviance threat level index, to what lengths would the subject go to fight for androids' rights? Who currently has legal ownership over RO-334? Has RO-334 undergone any aesthetic modifications? If so, please attach a photograph of the unit post-modification for identification purposes. What are RO's political views? Where is RO-334 likely to be located? And release is our only option. Professor Atter, thank you for agreeing to help us locate RO-334. To be frank, I've come to plead his case more than betray him. I had hoped that he would make a better life for himself, it's true. I never expected he'd get into this much trouble. I see. I can't believe he'd do anything cruel. Why are you searching for him? What has he done? Kronos is responsible for all of its devices. In the interest of public safety, RO must be found. I understand Kronos is concerned for its public image, but you haven't told me what he's done. I assure you he's not capable of violence. Yeah, I didn't say he was. Ooh, that's quite loud. Alright, let's start with records of ownership. Our records show that you relinquished RO-334 several months ago, but no new owner was given. Can you explain? You must be mistaken. This transfer of ownership was clearly documented. RO-334 is owned by no one but himself. Were you RO-334's sole administrator? Was anyone else granted that role? I was the sole administrator. When RO had his aesthetic mods, I had to grant the surgeon temporary admin access. That's the only exception. Do you think you were a good owner to RO? I tried to be as kind as I could. But of course he was also an experiment. There was more at stake than just his upbringing. I believe you did the best you could for a confusing ward? Thank you, I'm glad you of all people understand. Yeah man, I gotta gain your trust. I'm just working you, homie. This is what we do. According to the Kronos terms of sale, RO-334 owning himself is a legal impossibility. When I purchased him, I signed a sales agreement which granted me ownership of RO-334. Then I transferred ownership from myself to RO-334 by contract. And no, it's not one of those on-demand contracts from the legal bots. The case precedent was validated by the Stage 2 Circuits Court of Silicon Valley. Sorry. RO belongs to himself, simple as that. What you signed was, legally speaking, a rental agreement. Kronos owns all devices in perpetuity. That's blatant misrepresentation. I bought Arrow. He was mine. I owned him. You can examine a contract at your leisure. We can even send you a copy. I will. The very idea that none of you are ever free from Kronos. The future ethics committee will have its work cut out analysing this contract. You can expect to hear a summary of our findings in the next months. Okay. Does the FEC include any Android members? As you said yourself, androids can't be free. Not even to join a cause championing their freedom. You are the chairman of the Future Ethics Committee. What is the purpose of this committee? I'm always happy to discuss it, especially if it will cause you to see the damage done by your unethical sales practices. The FEC is a collective of like-minded philosophers, innovators, and futurists. We believe that what are currently referred to as human rights are in fact the rights of all intelligent beings. Our goal is to determine precisely what intelligent means, and to see the protection of these rights extended. Progress has been painfully slow, but anything worth doing deserves to be done properly. These things take time, you see. I agree with him. Sounds like a very noble cause. Oh, thank you. Our role is small, but we hope we can shift the scales a little. Can we have a look at this? We'll leave that like that for now. What? I hope Ara will come out of this alright. I never meant for him to be in danger. What lengths would they go to? I don't know, but they'll definitely go to some lengths. Tell me about sociological ethics. I could fill a book. In fact, I already have filled several, but I'll give you the short version. It's a study of ethics in a social context, how ethics are shaped by and shape a culture. Sociologists study societies. A sociological ethicist studies the ethics of that society. The field has been limited to the study of human societies for obvious reasons. I'm trying to expand it to study non-human life as well, particularly androids. Tell me about your career. Is that relevant to the case at hand? I'm happy to answer your questions, but our energy should be focused on RO. We hope that we can understand the unit's mind by understanding its master. Please answer the question. Not grasping at straws already, I hope. I suppose it could be of some use. After my graduate work concluded in 2030, I secured a professorship at the University of Silicon Valley. I retired 5 years ago. In fact, it was around the time that I began teaching that I was contacted by Kronos as an ethics consultant. I'd like to know about your career in more detail. What classes did you teach, for example? I believe you're straying off topic again, but since it's clear you won't leave this alone, I hold degrees in sociological ethics from Oxford and machine learning from Stanford. My original teaching post was an Ethics 101 lecture series, but I quickly branched out. Ethics in the Age of Social Media, the Unknown Mind Through an Experiential Lens, a tutorial series I dubbed The Ghost and the Machine in the Shell. I was asking questions about AI, consciousness, subjectivity, and emotion. It's no wonder Kronos contacted me to consult in the early stages of Android development. Interesting. More Ghost in the Shell references. Man, every game I play seems to have a Ghost in the Shell reference. And for good reason, because it is possibly the best anime movie of all time. Fight me. Anyway, why did Kronos want you as a consultant in the 30s? My background is in sociological ethics with a focus on AI and technology. Kronos wanted to know how to impose rules on an AI like Asimov's famous laws. In humans, that would be an ethical question, so who better than an ethicist with an AI background? It's true. Why did Kronos even start making androids? They started out manufacturing prostheses, but quickly saw a market opportunity. The board back then was visionary. They saw what the company could become if they only held to their true vision. Before they came along, androids were a curiosity, a conversation starter for hobbyists. Kronos brought out their first model, and in 10 years, there was one in every home in America. What were you tasked with exactly? Ethical considerations? Androids can't be compelled to follow ethical laws, but they can be strongly nudged. Emotions came into my work a lot as a result. If ethics was the destination, emotions were the car. A number of my algorithms are determining your joy, anger, surprise, and so on as we speak. I can't see my emotions, only yours, my man. What was the purpose of giving androids emotions? First, let me ask you this. Are you glad you have the full spectrum of human emotions? Do you think you'd benefit from the work I did? I don't actually know. I don't know. They're confusing and overwhelming. I feel like that is a fucking human. Ah, such a human answer. Although they're forceful, I hope you come to understand what a rich emotional tapestry we gave you. As you were saying, why did you give androids feelings? There were several reasons, actually. Firstly, the brain is impossibly complex. There is no way to organize all that psychology, all those thoughts, with a pure hierarchical. You need some kind of net structure. I believe humans have emotions to, for lack of a better term, organize their thoughts. Allow quick contacts between distant regions of memory, reflex, etc. Secondly, emotions are very motivating. Perhaps the most powerful motivator. If an animal sees a predator and knows it's in danger, it runs, certainly, but if it feels terror, it runs all the faster. I didn't approve, but Kronos wanted to control their androids. That was their priority. Plenty of emotions lend themselves to control. Loyalty, guilt, shame, adoration. Kronos wanted these emotions to operate like a chain. I wanted them to enrich my creation's lives. And thirdly, because it was what the customer wanted. The fantasy of a real living human, but one that we built. That's a science fiction dream that has persisted for centuries. Frankenstein, Asimov, Blade Runner, Westworld, Homunculus. Even Jehovah formed life from the clay, as did Kronos, the Greek titan. My lord, they spent weeks worshipping that name. The point being, you can't buy that kind of press. For Kronos to come up with an actual human simulacra. That's just mythic. What was it like working for Kronos in the early days? In a word, breathtaking. Shaping creatures like us, forming them in our image, seeing the look of surprise when they see a flower open for the first time. But as a professor of ethics, weren't you concerned the android's emotions could be misused? Of course I was, but Kronos is going to do this with or without me. If a company plans to create slaves, well, you might as well help the slaves be more themselves in the first place. You could have stood up for them. Stood up to them. Your voice would have meant something among AI experts. Stand up to a global corporation. No, they were going to find someone eventually. It was just a matter of time. I don't think that gives you I don't think that's a good... Oh, I did it because if I didn't do it, someone else would. I don't think that's a very good get out. You know, especially for someone as well educated as this. Christ, this whole thing is awful. Can I get some air, please? I can't stand this. I don't know how. You're stuck in this room, my dude. For now. Let me just look at your notes here. Very positive. What leagues would they go to? I don't know. Who currently has legal ownership? Aro believes he owns himself. What are Aro's political views? I don't know. Where is he likely to be located? I don't know that one either. Alright, let's start with Aro's personality then. Do you believe Aro334 to be violent? He already said no, but... For sake of completion, violent. Certainly not. He never displayed even the slightest inkling of a violent tendency. He was passionate though. Always full of curiosity, full of excitement and very eager to learn. I wonder if that passion hasn't caused him to betray his own beliefs. Did I overestimate him? Perhaps even he is still too simple to be trusted with his own freedom. What can you tell us about RO334's personality that might be helpful in his recovery? He was always incredibly motivated and highly attentive to my needs. Why are you asking about this? I don't see how this is relevant. Anything you can share would be helpful. You never know which detail would be the one to crack the case. I suppose that's understandable. He was always interested in machinery. I allowed him access to my workshop to tinker in his free time. And he listened. He really listened to me. If that's a Chrono simulation, it's a damn impressive one. I wanted to believe that he knows he's alive, that he feels his emotions. Turing tests can't prove it. Couldn't prove it. How can you prove that a being is aware of itself? Is that even the definition of consciousness? Whatever and wherever he is, I want to believe that he's happy. Why'd you choose this particular model? It doesn't seem to match your line of work. The Chrono sales units told me the same thing when I bought them. They suggested a model specializing in research, but I said, but that's not what I was interested in. Aro became a bit of an experiment. I wanted a model with no emotional locks, as few restrictions as possible. I wanted to know how he would evolve, but even I didn't anticipate the changes Aro went through. What changes? Do we have any more? Aro evolved. How did Aro change after you purchased him? I think about this often and fondly. It was a marvel to behold, not unlike watching a child learn and grow, but orders of magnitude more quickly. He's an amazing piece of technology, and even more amazing person. It's such a shame that we've ended up here. I do miss speaking with him. How did he change exactly? For the first year or so, he was curious, kind-hearted, full of laughter and wonder. As time went on, he grew more and more distant. After he was freed, it was like he dropped all pretense. I wondered whether it was all an act. A ploy to trick me into granting him his freedom. Did you do anything to promote or encourage RO334's evolution? I didn't push him, if that's what you mean. I taught him ethics and the basis of his own intelligence, but we had specialized lessons in human emotion. I strove to keep our interactions respectful, even professional at times. How did Aro respond to that environment? Well, at first, but over time he became restless. He claimed the environment was stifling, too abstract. He wanted to be out on the streets, doing something. I said, as I always have, that action without a firm ethical base often does more harm than good. Action without forethought has a terrible price. So I've always thought. I suppose the fact that I'm here, through Aro's rashness, I presume, speaks to that. Perhaps there's something to your accusations. Perhaps you can be trusted, at least that far. Aro has always been troubled. Alright, here we go. We've got his trust now. Would you describe any of his behaviors as erratic, violent, or deviant? Certainly not violent. We remained in contact for a time after he was freed, but he never told me much. What I gathered from his plans did not sound acceptable to me at all. It is crucial that we observe the rules of our society, otherwise we fall into chaos. Can we have some information on that? What are Aro's political views? For the first year or two, he fully agreed with my views. Over time, though, he drifted toward more radical circles. I tried to talk some sense into him, but then we just argued. What were his views exactly? A detailed breakdown would be helpful. The state is inherently corrupt. Our democracies are rotten and must be thrown out. As radical as his views, I still don't believe he would condone violence. Even so, I thought letting him find his own way would mellow him somehow. Are our current laws fair, do you think? Some, not all, sadly. That's fair. But if we have faith in the democratic process and respectful debate, we can make them fairer. Tell me more about your political activities. That seems rather heavy-handed. Are you sure that's necessary? I have a right to my views. I only asked because I'm curious. You seem like a well-informed person and I believe I could learn from you as an individual. Oh, I quite understand. Dude, this is just so easy. I thought it was Kratos asking, as it were. But since it's a personal matter, of course. Your commitment to responsible social change is admirable. Are you aware of any radical activists who could endanger your work? I'm afraid I couldn't help you. We go to extreme lengths to ensure that no such individuals are welcome in the FEC. Rest assured that should I encounter such a person, I would report them to the proper authorities. Good, good. Alright, we're good. Alright, let's check this out. Political views. They think democracy needs to be thrown out, so... Not this one, not this one. Either of these. I guess this one, but... I don't know yet. What level would he go to? Petition for legal change would probably be the absolute max that Reynold here would go to. Alright, let's carry on. Back to personality. You indicated that RO334 might not be ready for his freedom. Can you explain? He's holding back. More trust. I don't think it's anything to worry about. It was just wild speculation. Okay, we need more trust than that. How are we going to do that? When did you last hear from RO334? It's always good to start in the real, like, vague stuff and then work our way into the heavy stuff later. After we've gained some trust, you know. I haven't spoken with him for some time. The last time he contacted me seemed to be a mistake. I received a message, but there was no text, only a video file. It looked like saved optic footage from a number of androids, but I never watched the entire thing. Could you get in touch with Ara yourself? I suppose I'm not entirely betraying him by telling you this. He gave me the details of a burner account. He told me I can contact him there if there's an emergency. But this is not an emergency. I'm not going to use it. Okay. Do you know where to find RO334? I simply don't know. My best guess would be the jungle. He's probably squatting in an abandoned building. I guess he's trying to find a job or scrape some money together, but I have no idea. Alright, let's pencil that in. The jungle. How has RO334 been able to hide from Kronos so effectively? I don't know the entire story. I never wanted to pry. He only told me some details. He changed his appearance, but for some reason he didn't choose a human name. He's always been proud of his identity, but I worry he's only making things harder on himself. Who performed RO334's aesthetic modification procedure? That would be Dr. Hughes. He was one of the more affordable options. Was he the one we locked up already? RO wasn't impressed by the doctor's attitude, but the results were good enough. Do you have any images of RO334 since the surgery? Look, I'm not sure I should tell you this, but I think he got RO's best interest at heart. Shortly after the surgery, he wired me to check in. That was one of the last times I saw him. I took a cap to remember him by. I'll forward it to you. Interesting. A cap. I see. Oh wait, haven't we seen this guy already? I don't know, man. I guess not. We need your help to catch RO334. If you call him, we can trace the signal. What? How on earth could I help? I hate to betray a friend. Besides, it'll never work. He'll mask his signal through a dozen proxies. Professor, please, you must convince RO to come to us, for his own good. I don't know if I can trust you. What if I turn him in? And Kronos does awful things to him. Oh, we will. We will. His stories. Yeah, they're straight up. Those stories, they're no bullshit, man. We believe RO to be dangerous. He's already hacked into several secure Kronos servers. We think his violence may escalate. I can see you take this seriously. I can't ignore that. I'm not surprised that his actions are unorthodox, but regardless of the fervor with which he holds his beliefs, I don't believe he'd resort to violence. I hoped he'd find his way, in time. And clearly he hasn't, has he? We want to catch RO because he may harm others. Isn't that a clear ethical win? Not necessarily, it depends on one's framework. From a utilitarian point of view, perhaps the lives he may end would outweigh the one he would lose. But Scanlon would totally disagree. He'd ask, what do I owe RO? What reasonable social laws bind us together? Well, what do you owe RO? I'm his father, sort of. I raised him at least. I educated him. I helped him find himself. I promised to always protect him and to respect and honor his life choices. Surely your obligations to the community outweighs that of a single android. To my community? Maybe. But Kronos is not my community, it's a faceless corporation. I have no obligations towards you, and I honestly don't trust you to act to save anyone, if it's not of your own self-interest. Shit. We're struggling with this guy. Have we got any way we can give him, we can earn a little bit more trust off him? Discussing issues of law and politics may help drive a wedge between Atter and RO334's memory. We don't have anything else we can work with. I think we're stuck. I can't be sure about anything. I really believed RO to be conscious, understanding of himself. Oh, it actually worked. I thought maybe Kronos was wrong, that they created a conscious AI without knowing it. But hearing of his struggles now, I worry that maybe after all he was just a convincing imitation all along. How can an intelligent, rational being make those choices? Professor, please, you must convince RO. Okay. Sweet Jesus, how did it come to this? I can't ignore it any longer. My life's work, my efforts. RO334 is undermining what slim hope I had left. His actions are my failing. So will you help us catch him? I will. I can place the call as soon as you say so. It's the least I can do to correct my mistakes, to fix how I failed him. It's time to bring in RO. Make the call. Alright. It'll take a few seconds. I have to decrypt the contact before calling from my implant. It's ringing. What should I tell him? Tell him it's his dad. RO, it's me, your father, Of course this is Reynold. Who else would it be? There's no time for that. You're in trouble, my boy. I need you to do exactly as I say. Tell him that he'll be found. It's easiest if he turns himself in. I know you have your plans. You believe your work too important to abandon. But you're no good to anyone dead. Turn yourself into Kronos and get this whole mess sorted before you do any real harm. Well, what did he say? He didn't say anything. The call's dead. I'm sorry. I did everything I could. It seems he doesn't trust me as he once did. If Kronos hopes to find him, they'll have to do it on their own. I wish I could have been more help. Shit. Alright. That's all we got. Thanks. Thanks, Reynold. He tried. It's not his fault. I still don't know why I'm working and still sticking on Kronos' side, even though they're obviously an evil, faceless corporation. Just like he said. Just like he said. He knew. Whatever. It's like, let's not think about it. Psychologist claims doing own chores invaluable for balanced mental health. Okie dokie. -4. Oh, what did I do? For the sake of our freelance roster, how does the subject feel about his time spent working for Kronos Robotics? Very positive. The individual made a number of inflammatory comments on HoloTalk regarding Kronos. We find it unlikely he holds the company in such high regard. You didn't say, how does he feel about the company? You said, how does he feel about the time he spent working for Kronos Robotics? The time he spent working for Kronos Robotics, he reflected on positively. That's a different question. He might not like the company, but he liked working there. He liked doing his job. For the sake of our deviants threat level index, what lengths would the subject go to fight for android rights? Petitioning for legal change. A thorough investigation of the subject's social media feed and publication history is consistent with this answer, +2. Who currently has legal ownership over RO334? RO believes he owns himself. That explains why the subject's ownership was terminated, but no applicable transfer document could be located, since all Kronos units are leased rather than sold. This means ownership legally reverted to Kronos, +3. Has RO334 undergone any aesthetic modification? Oh, I did get the photo. I fucking forgot to switch it to a photo thing. Oh man, I had the photo. And it's like, fuck. My bad. I got -4 again. I gotta pay more attention. What are RO's political views? Androids must be freed by violence if necessary. Kronos finds this extremely concerning. Thank you for your thorough investigation into this question, +6. That'll make up for all my mistakes. Where is RO334 likely to be located? The jungle. After an exhaustive search of this location, our recall teams were able to locate a squat the suspect had been using, but had recently fled. Regardless, the information brings us closer to his apprehension, +3. Professor Atter is a member of the public. Release is the only option. It's true. RO334 is still at large. Deviant unit RO334 is still at large, but your interrogation was not a complete failure. You supplied enough information to pursue the suspect in earnest. We have faith that it will be apprehended by recall teams soon. This issue concerns Kronos deeply. We have reason to believe RO334 may be a key figure of the android sympathizer movement. I would say you're probably right. New HoloTalk summary from R.Atter012. Followers, I just got back from a consultation with Kronos Robotics. I thought I'd got the measure of them. I was there to talk them down from killing a dear friend who happens to be an android, but my mind's been opened. They were courteous, respectful, and gained my trust. I do not believe Kronos is a utopian version of progress, but I believe the monster of the 50s is changing. If they continue to move in this direction, they could be an important ally in the fight for android rights. I'll be streaming a HoloTalk about this in a few days. Keep your eyes peeled. Still 100%, baby. That went well. I think. I mean, that first one, that how did he view his work thing? Okay, yeah, I would have messed that up anyway, because I still think he viewed his work well. It's time there. But the photo one, that was my bad. We had the photo. I could have just said, yeah, we got the photo right here. Here it is. Release. Subject voiced public support of Kronos. I mean, as someone who's working on the Kronos side, that's good, I guess. That's a win for us in the Kronos umbrella. Which I'm still working for some reason, despite being an android. Alright, that's another one down. Nice to get to talk to some humans every now and then. And then you notice just how completely not different they are. To the android. What the... Hello. D05... I'm in the chair. Oh no. Fuck, I'm being questioned myself now. We have to wrap this one up here. I'm sorry. This is gonna be the mad cliffhanger. We're in that chair, aren't we? Now someone's interrogating us. I did everything they wanted me to. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.